Well, from today, returned international travellers are spending the first night in Victoria's revamped hotel quarantine program. It was axed in July, as you know, after quarantine outbreaks led to the state's deadly second wave. To discuss this and more, I'm joined now by Herald Sun columnist and Sky News host Rita Panahi, along with Melbourne City Deputy Lord Mayor Nick Reece, both in Melbourne. I'll start with you if I could, Nick. We know, of course, the Premier says there'll be no private security used, but no one should take away from that the police will do the role of security on every floor in every part of the hotel. And instead, a whole lot of external people have been contracted in to do that on a full-time basis. Qantas flight attendants, for example. But it's not the police or the ADF, as I think many Victorians will have picked up from what the Premier had announced. So given that, how much faith have you got they've learnt the lessons they needed to learn from the absolute debacle of the last few months?
Well, look, we agree that the last hotel quarantine operation was an absolute debacle, but I do have faith in the Victorian government and the capacity of the Victorian Corrections Service and Health Service to get this right. This time you've got Emma Cassar there, who's a very distinguished corrections officer who'll be running the operation. We've got the ADF obviously involved as well. And we've got a bunch of strict new guidelines and rules in place. Things like people can't work second jobs, so you can't be an Uber driver in the evening and quarantine worker during the day. There are strict rules around bubbles being created around the people who work in these facilities, so there's very limited interaction with their other co-workers and with other family members. So, look, I'm confident that it's not beyond the capability of Australia, not beyond the capability of Victoria to get this right, notwithstanding mistakes that have been made in the past. And I think it's a great thing for Victoria and Australia that 25% of our national economy is now open to international travel again.
Rita, of course, again, it's not run like it is in every other state. If Victorians think that there will be police now on every floor as opposed to private security guards, well, that's wrong. The police will be involved, but they'll be down the base of the hotels. It will still be contracted workers all the way through. Again, it's different than every other state. Are we going to end up with the same mistakes, do you think?
Look, I would be surprised if after everything that's happened and all the scrutiny of the mistakes that they stuff up again. I just think hopefully they've learnt their lesson and they are pulling some really high-level police into this program. And we're talking about detectives from the sexual crime squad, from the murder squad. So these are frontline officers who are going to be pulled away for maybe up to a 12-month period to work at these hotels. And they are taking all sorts of additional measures that New South Wales, for example, isn't taking. And some of those measures are just, again, to me, needless. They just make life harder for everybody without making anybody safer. But that has pretty much characterised Victoria's response to this crisis. Just more stringent, harder restrictions, slower to open up, and yet it was the only state to have a devastating second wave, and more than 90% of deaths come from one state, Victoria.
Well, I hope I'm wrong, but I remain to be convinced. I think I remain to be convinced. It's the kindest way I can put it. We'll see what happens. I want to go to this issue of an SAS squadron, squadron, at the centre of the war crimes allegations. It will be disbanded. There was a move to have a regimental parade to farewell the unit today. That was being postponed, but it hasn't been cancelled. And 60 soldiers are reportedly threatening to quit in protest. But the government, the federal government and Labor are standing by the original decision. Nick, I still can't come at, punishing a whole lot of military men in this case in relation to the Special Forces for the crimes or alleged crimes of a handful. Do you think 2 squadrons should go?
Look, can I admit to not feeling properly qualified to make a final call on this? My sentiment, Peter, is actually the same as yours. I think something really horrific has happened here, these 39 deaths. We need to really face up to that, challenging as it is. But, you know, the reports that several thousand Australian servicemen who served in Afghanistan could be stripped of their service medals, I think that's wrong. And I guess following on from that, the idea that this regiment could be disbanded potentially because of the acts of a few, I don't feel that that's right either. But I know that very good people have looked at this, and I know that people are more qualified than I have looked at it and have made recommendations to that effect. But I've got to say that my sentiment is actually the same as yours on this one.
Yeah, let me be clear. We're not talking about disbanding the SAS regiment. We're talking about 2 squadron inside the regiment. But, you know, the point is they served in Vietnam, Rita. They've done, you know, generations of incredible service. And the squadron, 2 squadron, is one of great standing before these allegations. But some would say despite these allegations, before these allegations, and the men who have served in 2 squadron hold the squadron up as high as they hold the badge of the SAS.
Look, I'm not in favour of collective guilt. If there was genuine wrongdoing there, and I agree that report is disturbing and it needs to be pursued, but that doesn't mean everybody who was in that squadron is guilty by association. And let's not forget, this alleged wrongdoing only came to light because people within that unit would have blown the whistle on things that they didn't think should have happened. So to punish them along with anyone who's allegedly done something wrong, I think is just grossly unfair. I think we should hold accountable those who've disgraced their squadron, but not the others who have literally risked their lives for their country.
All right, I have to leave there, but I am not going to let this moment pass without congratulating the 2 of you on your new Friday afternoon program starting next year from Friday night at 4 o'clock. Correct me if I'm wrong. Nick Reece, Rita Panahi. I don't even know what's the name of it, Rita?
The Friday Showdown. It's going to be
Friday Showdown.
Yeah.
I wanted it to be called Educating Rita, but the bosses at the Sky didn't agree with that one.
Disrespectful from the start. I mean, if this is how he's going to carry on, he's going to deserve everything he gets.
Yeah, I know he'll get schooled, Nick Reece. I'll tell you, I know he'll get schooled. All right, got to leave it there. Thank you both for your time.
I'm calling bias from the umpire on that one.